This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so today is Tuesday, April 14th, and as always, everything that we're going to be talking about today is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. All right, so we've got a bunch of stuff going on today. Let's start with the new stuff, and then we will go into what we've been watching for the past month or so. So first thing we're going to be looking at is Roku. Now, something that's really interesting within its prints this morning is we come back down all the way to basically 7 o'clock this morning. We can see these prints we had at 107 on the bid. Now, normally, would this be a huge show of hand? Not really, but at the same time, considering the fact that it did happen at a time when there's absolutely no orders available, this is a very, very big position. And one thing that I was really looking into is what kind of buying did we have on the way up afterwards? And if you look at the bigger print side of things, there's really not much buying that came into this thing at all. So as we've been pushing back up, it really looks like we're going to end up taking a nice hit back down underneath that 107 from the original prints that we've had, because there's just no, I can't find any real reason of even why that it was able to push up as high as that 112.72. So overall, I'm going to be expecting, since it's already pulled up, I'm going to be expecting a pretty straightforward move towards that downside trigger to break underneath that 107. Just remember, 107.50 is a big level. We can see we do have that consolidation right here. That just shows how big of a support it is. So we're definitely going to want to see some of those jackhammer prints coming in to break that 107.50 down to be able to really get past and break out its move below that 107 mark. Next thing looking at is SONN. So it's got a lot of movement this morning, but I'm not really that happy with it, considering the fact that we had a little bit of buying that was coming up towards that 11. It kind of pushed up that 50-cent mark, but I just didn't really see enough coming into this at all, and especially as it's been on its way back down, mostly selling underneath here. So make sure you go out there and see if you can get short shares. But overall, I'm just not happy with it for its ability to be able to push back up above that 11, because it just wasn't that much that actually came in. Now, these were really ballsy prints, and it pushed right up from them. But once again, for us to get a trigger back up there, I'm just not that happy with the buying. So what I would need to see is a consolidation, kind of start on its way down, where we just start to see a lot of buying near the highs and not so much selling near the lows to show us a building position to then be able to break back up. Otherwise, it's just going to come out of nowhere. But a trigger towards the upside just isn't going to have that high of a percentage within it, because there's just not really that much buying that's up near the top. And like I said, based off the amount that we saw, 50 cents, it probably should have been a little bit more, but it's kind of right in that gray area. So it's not one of those stocks that I'm looking at that I'm like, okay, definitively this is what has to happen. There's a lot of, kind of ifs within it. And anytime that you have ifs within, the story of what you're watching, it never really gives you that high of a percentage. So just keep that in mind as we're watching it this morning. MEIP, next. MEIP. Next thing looking at, if it comes up, okay. So this normally would be on the side list, but we can short it. And one thing that I really, really love about it is it's had some pretty decent volume in this consolidation. It's just been kind of sitting around that 3 level. Now, coming back down, we do have some nice buying that's around the 3, nothing too crazy, but there's also a lot of selling. So this is another one that's not really that definitive, because within its consolidation, if you look near the lows, we do have a lot of selling. When we come near the highs, we have okay buying. So there's really not a definitive prints that have came out yet, or really a definitive position that's came out yet to show me that this thing is really going to break out high off of the 3 or come back underneath. But the reason it's not on the side list is because of this consolidation all morning, kind of with that tight range. When this thing does break out, we should see a real nice move coming out of it. And either way, once we do get that definitive position, we can go either way. We can short it or we can go long, because it isn't hard to borrow. So like I said, I like the setup in it. I just don't know what's actually happening yet. Next thing is JPM. I'll go with that, Andy. I was looking at it before. I'm not a static. The thing that it did, it had great prints at 101, but it did pull up above those about almost exactly 50 cents. And then you can see that trigger coming back down. So I don't really see a need for it to have to pull back up. I mean, its range is on average $4.35. So it could come up a little bit higher, but I haven't really seen anything special since those prints coming in, and I really love to see the reactions to them, and I just haven't really. It's another one where it's going to move today. We're definitely going to get a show of hand in it. We're definitely going to get a high percentage trade into it. It's in a crappy spot. Yeah, and once it got 100, one of the biggest psychological levels that we have. And it just hasn't really shown anything at, around the reaction to that 100 level hasn't been anything special yet. So once again, it's definitely going to be a trade. We know for a fact that someone came in the position at 101, but it needs to see more. There needs to be something else in there. So no, NK is on my side list. Okay, so now we're on to my side list. NK, so the thing about it is another one where the reason that it's on my side list is because of the fact that it's just not, it hasn't given anything really that special. For such a cheap stock and the orders are not that thin, there really should, I just haven't seen anything that really jumps out at me. And, I would have expected a lot more, especially in this consolidation, to see more building. Now, there's definitely buying that's coming within this consolidation, and as we kind of pushed up a little bit, we're seeing more buying than we have before. So within the consolidation, there is buying at the highs, but it's on my side list just because there's not anything that's that crazy yet. So I'm definitely going to be watching it, but make sure go out there, try to see if you get short shares. If you don't have short shares, it's kind of like an iffy one. There's some better stuff for us to be looking at coming into this morning. Next thing, Works. So Works, we're still going to be watching, but it's got to be on our side list for the reason being that I have not seen anything above that 10, from this morning that really jumped out. You have these few ask prints that came in 11 at 8:07 this morning, and if you look, they were on the way down, so it really kind of looks like somebody was covering part of a position, or it's just, once again, it just doesn't jump out. There's not really anything there that really stands out, and that's something that we're going to be talking a lot about within our workshop today. Is one of the things about being a tape reader is the fact that when we're looking for things that jump out, there's different criteria that we're going to need depending on the stock that we're actually looking at. And this, I just haven't seen it there. So we know it's a mover. We know it can move, and that's why it's going to be on our side list. But other than that, it's just another one. Like I said, it's just not. It doesn't really jump out and show that there's anything that needs to happen within it yet. And then ALKI, don't have that on my list, but we'll pull it up, and here we go. All right, so once I started talking, yeah, obviously this is just a beautiful runner that's coming in. So we can see right here, we have some buying coming in around this 140. So there's definitely new buying coming in at highs, absolutely. Absolutely. Just be careful. Remember, these cheaper stocks, a lot of the times, if they make a beautiful run during the pre-market, they end up kind of dying out a little bit, especially the cheaper ones. So just keep that in mind, especially 150 will tell us everything that we need to know. But other than that, not a terrible list. It's just, a lot of stuff we have some nice setups in. We just don't really have that definitive, okay, I'm going to follow this position. That's really what I'm looking for. Overall, I like Roku the best, just based off of the setup we have. Not really that much buying coming up and having those sell prints down at that 107. Obviously, remember, though, just because we have sell prints at 107 does not mean that we don't need sell riders to be coming in to show us that this thing is going to be able to push down. 110 being at a psychological level is definitely going to kind of gravitate. You're probably going to see a little bit of games, being played there. So just once again, just keep that in mind as we do with everything else. All right, guys. Now, anything else out there that I missed? Anything else out there that I missed? All right, beautiful. So that sounds like it. So remember, workshop at 12:30 this afternoon. So make sure you're there. That link will be in just as normal as we normally put Traders Exchange. I will talk to everyone in the room, and happy trading.